Digital ladies breaking the chain, rising in crypto, we're changing the game. Crypto frontier, we're claiming our space. Not your keys, not your crypto, know your place. Unscripted, we're bold, we're free. Melissa, Keda, Lady K, and Auntie Tiptoe, come ride this wave. Digital wealth, we're here to pay.
Crypto nights, we're lighting a spark. As we ignite now, we're setting the mark.
Safety first, we're keeping it tight. Blockchain power, we're shining the light. Unscripted, we're bold, we're free. Melissa, Keda, Lady K, and Auntie Tiptoe, come ride this wave.
I'm always jamming to that song when we start. Welcome to Digital Ladies Unscripted, the show where we talk about digital assets from a lady's point of view. I am Melissa, and I am joined by my beautiful co-host, Keda, Optimistic Prime, Lady K. How are you doing this evening, ladies?
Excellent.
Nice shirt, Lady K.
You like it?
Oh, I love it. Yeah, it's about time for me to get an X-Meme shirt. I didn't get one from you, Opti, when I saw you in Vegas. So I'm looking forward to getting it from you this year. Thank you.
Well,
didn't
this
get one
is
either. That looks like a sweatshirt.
it is
a
the Nike sweatshirt,
Nice.
and it's real soft. And we were testing out his like merch store, so yeah,
I like it. Yeah, it pops.
like it.
That green pops, you know?
doesn't it?
It really does. Well, welcome to Digital Ladies Unscripted, guys. Boy, last week we just shot from the hip. We just talked about whatever, and I thought we would do the same thing this evening. I know I have a specific topic that I'd like to talk about, but I kind of wanted to go around the room and we'll first maybe shout out some of the folks that are in the live stream already. We've got 20 people watching so far. If you guys are watching on X or Facebook or YouTube or imutv.tv or Rumble, please be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Share this out with your friends. Get in the conversation. We're on the YouTube comments are easy for you to join the conversation. But who we got in here, Keda? Can you see?
I sure can see. We have Corn. We have Miss Connie is in the house. We also have Gone Rogue, Miss Stephanie, Now Cottrell, Mr. Zam. And then, oh my goodness, we have so many people in the house already. And I'm looking forward to seeing more as they start to come in.
Well, I'm loving it. I'm loving these unscripted, non-topic shows. I wonder if any of you have anything specific that you would like to talk about this evening.
Well, I just wanted to say thank you to those that sent me supportive words and all of things over the weekend for the IRL event or in real life event that I did do this weekend, which was the Spring Fling from the Funky Finds Bazaar here in the Fort Worth area at the Will Rogers Coliseum. It was such a wonderful event. I got a chance to make some great connections. That'll be great for my business. I learned a lot from the other vendors that were there. And then I also got a chance to get some people into the client base. So that was a great experience for me. And I found out that my beef tallow product was probably the star of the show. And so I was thankful for that. And I also learned that no one can promote my product better than me. Just because, I think it's one thing to hear people talk about it. It's a whole nother thing for the person that created it to talk about it and to explain it to those that may not understand or may not know. and to be able to have them try it in person, to see the difference between any of the other beef tallows that they may have tried. So it was a
I have
great
a
experience.
question for you.
Sure.
So we're in the digital asset space. We have hopes and dreams of living in a digital asset economy where we're
Okay.
accepting crypto payments. So you were at a real life event.
Yeah.
These are just regular people that don't really have this on the radar. How close
Mm.
are we, Keda, to
We
people?
ain't close at all. Mm-mm. Let me just let you know we ain't close at all. And maybe that has to, and just from, that demographic, it was a different type of demographic. I would probably say the normal consumer that came through there was probably in their 50s to 70s. So it was a
Uh,
much older demographic. That particular type of vending event, or, like fair type thing, has been going on for the last 20 years. So a lot of people that were there as vendors have been with them for 10, 15 years, so a lot of them aren't, associated with digital assets and cryptocurrencies. There were some that are, and they understood, especially when I said, oh, this is associated with an NFT project on the blockchain. You know, for me, I understand exactly what that is. Someone who's in this and understands it, they understand what that is. But most of the people that came through there, when I would say that, didn't.
yeah.
So, it's very important to kind of at least understand that we're at a different type of a learning curve than they are. And we have to take that into account. But I will say, being able to have my business on Shopify changed things for me, because I was able to have my own POS on my phone. I was able to take credit cards and, things of that nature. The only thing that Shopify is lacking is the ability to accept digital assets and cryptocurrencies through the Shopify platform. You would have to go to a third party in order to be able to do that through Shopify.
Mm. Yeah, well, I think the Mocha app is working on that, right? Where you'd be
Right?
able to do. So
I have a couple questions.
maybe like
Yeah.
two. Maybe you could have two cash out options for
Yeah.
people in the future.
Yep. What's your question, Miss Opti?
Yeah, I was trying to put my camera landscape, but it wasn't working. I was tilted on the screen. I'm in my truck again, so it's nice and it's warm out again, so I can actually sit in my truck and not be disturbed by the children. Although I am at Shay's and they're playing music really loud in the background. But my question two, one was the people that you mentioned that to that weren't in it. Did you find that they were curious? Like maybe this was the first time they heard about an NFT or the blockchain or something, and they sort of wanted to know more. And the second question I had,
A couple were, and for the most part, when I said NFT, they kind of gave me the huh, and then I would explain that, that it's a project that's on the blockchain, and they have an NFT, which is a non-fungible token, and it's a lot of great artwork. It's difficult because you want to say these words because they're such an awesome word to say, but at the same time, it's difficult when you have to give the meta learning aspect of it, being able to teach it to them in layman's terms so that they understand it. And so as I started to do that kind of, made them understand, hey, I'm working on the internet. And because I'm working on the internet, this is, has a little bit more of a reach than what we normally have. So I think it was it was a good takeaway. What was your second question?
have you done vendor markets before?
You know what? It's funny that you asked that. I had thought that I hadn't done it for this. But I had done it at one point some years ago. My daughter was like 4 years old. She's 18 now. And so it's like 14 years ago, and y'all know, I don't really wear a whole lot of makeup, but what had happened was, I used to sell a product called the Unique Mascara. And it's this mascara that's supposed to like make your eyelashes like super duper like long and stuff like that. And this was back in the day, and they had like a whole like, you put these little fibers on your eyelashes and then the mascara goes on it and it just
I remember
extends
people
it.
selling that at vendor markets, ironically. So yeah, I'm
Yes.
just curious because
Yep.
obviously with the Tiny Home show coming back, Shiny Show, that's part of it, right? And that's where the original vision came from. Is that's how I used to make money when I was in school, is going and selling products at Christmas fairs. And
Yes.
so I'm super curious. And then actually, I came up with one last question. So through this process, did you, I mean, obviously it's only a day, like one day, so maybe, you know, you haven't really thought back yet, but like in reflection, do you think that you might, like right now in my mind, I was thinking like, oh, maybe like a pamphlet or like some kind of information on how to contact you about the blockchain aspect, you know, where there's like a bridge through where like you mention it, it's sort of like, I'm obviously not going to pitch the blockchain to you right now. I'm obviously focusing on my product. But did you
Correct.
come out of that with sort of like reflection on things that you might include in the future to sort of bridge that gap sort of for other people who might be, you know, selling real world assets that are bridging over to the blockchain, and how that might, you know, sort of transpire in the future?
I did. And one of the cool things that I did do was I had created a standing banner, right? So it had my logo, it had the logo for, or the actual front face of the beard oil bottle. And so it was a really cool visual to be able to see this really tall, you know, banner, and it was a vertical banner. And so I had those two logos, and in between it, it had like the website, right? The beauty of that banner is it is completely customizable to what you would like to have on there. So to be able to have a hashtag on there or to have a QR code on there that might take them back to some information for them to be able to get more information, or to just point them in the direction of where they can go to find that information. I think that would be really doable for the near future, for the whatever next vending event I do decide I want to go to.
We should make
Mainly
cards,
like
Melissa, that
Vegas
say, want to know more about
cards.
blockchain? Check out
Yes.
Digital Asset, or
Yeah.
Digital Ladies Unscripted and the Dipito show at this time, so that like they can just pull it away and then that could be their bridge. Anyways, just to plant in the seed.
Well, I love that. And here's the thing, because I now have an actual digital business card that you actually can download into your phone through a QR code from Hi Hello, then I can also do the same thing for something like that. And all
Very
they have
cool.
to do is just click on, you know, and some people feel some type of way about, you know, QR codes because they don't know what it's leading to. At the same time, if you're saying, hey, click on this QR code, and you're standing in front of them, God forbid you're out here doing something nefarious because you're literally standing in their face. But what I'm saying is that might be a great way to be able to get them to the place that they need to be in order to be able to learn more, or to get more information, or to even see a video about it. Like that might be a great thing for us to do like a short 2-minute video on, you know, how to onboard onto, you know, onto the blockchain. You know what I mean? And we could do a couple of them. You know what I mean? Hey, how do you buy a wallet? Have a hashtag, you know, have that QR code for that leads back to that. And that way oh, look at that. That's a great idea.
Brainstorming. What you got, Lady K?
Man.
Are you going to do the Mocha app? I know you were on that call with them.
I really want to do it. And now so now I've been on so many iterations of this daggone website concerning my business. Okay, so I started off with my own website. Now I'm on Shopify, and you know, I've switched over the domain and all kinds of other shenanigans. And I will say this, it is super helpful in the sense of I'm able to get all my analytics. I have a POS that I literally can use through my phone. I know that they talked about the different type of, POS and things of that nature. You know what I mean? If it's a situation where I'm, looking to get on with FML, with their project and how that works, I'm trying to figure out the most advantageous way to be able to do this, that it makes it easier for me so that I can actually have my business on autopilot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
Well, what's really cool about you going to these in-person events and like something that we all can do in our daily lives, just the visual of it, like as people start to see it, it becomes normal, right? I mean, that's what they do to us. Like they do to us, the subliminal, put it out there. They put it out there for years and years, even before people are ready to accept it. And then finally, when it comes into fruition, it's like, oh yeah, I recognize that symbol. I recognize that. And so by you, even though people aren't saying, yeah, let me pay with crypto today, the fact that you're there, you're considered a early adopter of this. And so once the people start figuring it out, they're going to be like, oh, that lady at the fancy finds or whatever it's called, she does crypto already. She's already doing that. She was doing that 2 years ago, right? So I think it's a really cool thing. I'm proud and happy for you that you took the step. And I personally think having both paper and the QR code would be extremely effective. So having a paper card or like Opti said, a pamphlet with just some maybe some terminology and links to going, being able to if they want to type it out themselves, because a lot
Dip
of people
your toe.
Yeah, if they want to dip their toe, right. But
Well,
yeah,
definitely, like the more things you can automate, just the better. Like, I mean, I could not run my business if the majority of it wasn't already automated. It really works smarter, not harder, right?
Right.
absolutely.
I agree with that.
Shout out to
And we have
FML
a lot of
for
people-
trying to help me do that. That's what I'm trying to do with the watering footprint, is trying to automate all the things that I've been doing manually for 6 years, and I just can't wait.
I do have to shout out the room. The room has filled up very wonderfully. We do have 61 people watching this stream, and we have everyone from Stone, FML, Mr. Sam. We have Stormy in the house. We have K Buddy. We have Lucifer in the house. Hey, Lucifer. We also have Justin Wynn in the house. We have Shauna. We have Again Grown Rogue. As I'm rolling through this timeline, we have so many. We have Sholo in the house. Shout out to Sholo. Beck is in the house. Hey, Beck. I hope you got my follow back. And then we also have, of course, Niall Cottrell. Shout out to Niall and all the hard work that you're doing. Oh my goodness, Connie, it's so great to have you here, and Miss Stephanie, and to all the people that'll come in.
Yay.
Before we move on to Lady K, I just wanted to shout you out. Great show last week with Bingo. Keita's Brew was great. So, yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I had a great time with him. He's doing so well. I'm super duper happy and excited for him, and all that's happening with him and his wife, because he came and let us know about his new relationship, and he's a happy camper. So I'm happy for him.
Nice.
I want to hear what Melissa wants to talk about.
Well, I'll tell you. Okay, guys, this is going to go from to I want to preface this by saying not an expert, just questioning. Thought it might be a fun topic. And if it gets too crazy, we'll just move on. So how about that? So I was searching the internets today, and I saw this post that said, are those treasury buybacks making sense now? Cashing out players at face value to prepare for a panic or dump by adversaries. Use that capital to get into safe haven, not debt. Fed steps in and then buys it all for pennies on the dollar for us to eliminate later. Meanwhile, everyone else uses stable coins backed by more than debt, not Fed notes. And I was like, I hear people talking about all this stuff all the time, right? And I'm not an expert at all. but I started like, let me dig deeper into what this person is saying. And for those of you, it's a fellow named Vincent Scott that's on X, and he makes some real provocative posts a lot of times, and he kind of dives deep with his audience in that. But I saw the post and I thought, well, this is very interesting, the question that he's posing, and it kind of ties into some of my own speculation. However, I've never been able to frame it or phrase it like this, right? So as I dug in, I'm like, okay, here's the quote. My quote is like, treasury buybacks have been a hot topic amid rising debt levels and global tensions, which is all the stuff that's happening right now. And so his first question, are those treasury buybacks making sense now? I think that it's referring to the fact that the U.S. Treasury has these buyback programs. They've been buying back since I think like late 2024, and then they ramped up in 2025 and 2026. I want to say it was like, what is it, like 1.4 billion that they did, that they just closed out, and then like 2 billion is coming up to where they want to do like 2 billion more or something like that, like a lot. And so the Treasury, when they announced that, I didn't exactly know what it really meant, right? But most of the time, like the people have said before, whenever they do these types of things, that it's part of like just like fiscal house cleaning. There, there's going to be they're trying to like stall out the market volatility or whatever. Like they're trying to. Yeah, see, I'm not an expert on this at all.
I mean, this isn't like my expertise, right? But it does say here, I mean, they'll do this for like liquidity management. And it's interesting, we saw the other day, wasn't it BlackRock?
Yeah.
BlackRock, what's the word? They stopped their clients from withdrawing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's huge. The biggest
That's
asset manager in this space stopped their customers from withdrawing.
Kind of
That's
scary.
insane.
Yeah. I think it's called quantitative easing, right? When this kind of stuff, when they start doing it, I think they call it quantitative easing. But so here, what I didn't realize when they talk about the buyback, that these treasury bond buybacks, and that in his post had cashing players out at face value to prepare for a panic or dump by adversaries. So basically, like I've known over the years, a lot of people always have concerns that, Russia and China and Japan, they own a lot of our debt. Like they own a lot of these bonds and that. And so there's a scare that they could just dump them to kind of weaponize it and like as a kind of an act of war, really, to like screw the dollar even worse than it's already, right? Like to hurt the U.S. economy.
Well, what was really interesting for me as well, I was looking up, when you sent out the little message about like how you were curious about this. I haven't talked about BRICS to anybody in like probably a year. Like I used to talk about it all the time, and I'm like, man, I totally like that was sort of on the back burner of my mind. And I was like, oh yeah, BRICS. Like, and then it was like at the bottom of the sort of outline that you've given, it's like, the conversation about de-dollarization, which used to be a common conversation for all of us. And we haven't spoken about it. And I don't think we've even spoken about it here on Digital Ladies. And so I was like, that's sort of where my mind went when you brought this up. I was like, I wonder what BRICS is doing these days. I wonder how far along, because before I had sort of met you guys, I was down the rabbit hole of the de-dollarization and them, sort of taking over the hegemonic power when it comes to like fiscal, the US dollar sort of control over the economy of the world. And in my mind's eye, I'd always imagined like, that was going to happen on blockchain. That would happen with, a cryptocurrency, a digital asset that was cheap, fast, or a blockchain, I should say, not a digital asset, but a blockchain that was cheap, fast, and whatever. But then I always had the question, and I never like had anybody that could ever actually answer it. And the AI wasn't as good as it is today, which was when you have sanctions against you. I mean, one of the things that's so fascinating about XRP is that anybody can own it, and there's no clawback. There's no restriction on the actual asset itself. So in my mind's eye, I always was curious if, and this is sort of where my dark and light meet on blockchain sort of came from, is, how is the world going to shift around this this sort of breaking up of hegemonic power in the financial realm, and with all of, the tensions like you just brought up. I mean, especially even right now, even countries that weren't even on my radar and they're not part of BRICS, causing tensions. I don't know about you guys, but our gas is at, I paid $1.95 today for a liter, and there's 4 liters in a gallon. So our gas is just like gone up 30 cents a liter, right? So that's like $1.20 a gallon in the past 3 days. And so there's a lot of things happening in the world. And so, yeah, anyways, those were my thoughts, initial thoughts.
Like that here. Oh, no, it's not. Don't get it twisted. It's like that here, too. Like just the other day, like not too long ago, before all these shenanigans happened, literally our gas was like $2 and like 20, 30 some odd cents.
That's a gallon.
And that's a gallon. No, I hear what you're saying,
okay.
But literally now it's $3.45. So
and mine
literally gone up.
Mine's $8 a gallon.
I know, but I know yours is much more. But what I'm saying is just from a standpoint of when you're thinking of, oh wow, Lucifer, really?
What?
Hold on. I'm sorry. Wow. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Uniplanetary evolution theorist. You're the bomb. You're awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Well, and so as I started looking at this, and I'm like, oh man, this is too complex of a topic to touch on. Just like to go like, hey ladies, I want to talk about this tonight. But it really is, I think it's cool for us to just be able to kind of chat about it a little bit. And as I was diving in, I hadn't really thought about the whole cashing, his statement, cashing players out at face value to prepare for a panic or dump by the adversaries. So the players that they're talking about that I'm speculating are major holders of U.S. treasuries, such as foreign governments, central banks, institutional investor, and the cashing out at face value means them buying back at full par value, which is the original bond price, not discounted market price, which at this time would be very generous and unusual, as buybacks are often they happen at market rates. And so what I'm wondering is, like, the statement to prepare for a panic or dump by adversaries. So what if we're offering these buybacks right now at face value, and anybody willing to say, yep, I'm going to let you buy these back, then so they would be essentially paying a premium to friendly or neutral holders to get those bonds out of circulation, which then reduces the ammo for the enemies to cause a panic sell-off of the bonds that are in circulation. And so when I was looking into it, like I guess in 22 and 23, there were concerns about weaponized dollar reserves, that's Opti, when I think we were talking about it a lot, about, the dollar's going away and, all these types of things. And we were really talking about the BRICS a lot, pushing nations to de-dollarize and all of that stuff. We had been talking about all of that. But then the next thing is use capital to get into safe havens. So we've been talking about this forever, as far as, I've always said, I think things are being like dismantled. You can't take money from one place quickly and put it into another place because of all the things that are attached to it at the same time. Like, it's like everything is so connected that it has to be done like very carefully. And so we're
Well,
thinking
you can't do it because you can't move money that fast. But go ahead.
yeah. But I mean, like, everything's kind of a house of cards when it comes to the dollar, right? And all the debt and everything that's tied up, and just how we keep printing money and creating more debt and all the crap, and the Fed, having this on their balance sheet, and it just all of the shit that we've been dealing with. What if they do? These people, they're selling it now. They've got capital. We always call it like dry powder on the side. What if they take that dry powder on the side and put it into the safe haven, which right now, I mean, it could be gold, it could be Bitcoin, because we've talked about Bitcoin strategic reserves. It could be XRP, or any other kind of like commodity, or like
It said something about stable coins. Did it say stable coins in that tweet?
Well, this is what it said about stable coins. So, we'll talk about the stable coins right now. The stable coins right now, they're backed by the USDT,
US dollar and US treasuries.
Right,
I mean, in fact, that's why I asked, because I was like, dude, if they think stable coin is going to hedge them against the US dollar, I got news, because it's all US treasury and US dollar, right?
But if so this is where I'm like trying to look at my notes now. So if they use the capital that's freed up from the buybacks, instead of rolling it into more debt issuance, which is what they normally do to fund the deficits, is it possible that they will use it to buy safe havens, like what we're talking about, gold, like real assets, right? Or even now, like, no matter, people might see it differently with like the Bitcoin strategic reserve and stuff like that, or what we know, these up and coming digital assets like XRP, for example, that the not debt would be like steering clear of more government bonds based on the fiat based instruments. And let's see, it said the US government has held and seized Bitcoin since the 2010s, and there probably are accumulating more strategically. So I could see them, and we know that Senator Lummis, she had that one proposal where we started like building up that Bitcoin bank from some of these was it the paper gold reserves that we held or something, that she wanted to kind of shift it into the Bitcoin, and people were freaking out over that, if I recall. But or other hard asset like commodities, they could be putting it into that, where, because there's a lot of countries that are diversifying their reserves against away from the U.S. debt. Like, I mean, look at El Salvador with building up their Bitcoin, and they talk about Bitcoin, but I know these countries are also diversifying into these other digital assets as well. Most of those countries have been working on this space way longer than what we know of the United States working on it, right? They've already been working on their regulations and I feel like they've been beta testing all these things that we see now coming, and we're able to use them here, right? So, and then the speculation, Fed steps in and buys it all for pennies on the dollar. And this is where I thought of you, Ati, because the pennies on the dollar scenario, where the Fed buys back assets for dirt cheap, like a fire sale type thing. If they did that, and the Fed like swoops in as the buyer of last resort, scooping all these extra ones up for like massive discounts, what if they then eliminated it, which is like retiring or canceling the debt? And we've talked about, there's like a lot of people that have speculated like on the debt jubilee and all of that stuff, and the Great Reset and all of these things.
The U.S. debt clock has been dropping. I don't know if you guys have been following that, but like, I can get into that in a second if you want me to.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. So, I mean, this is where I just thought, this might be like a fun conversation, because it kind of ties in to a little bit of all of the things that we talk about, where there is a plan. I don't exactly know. We need to be aware of U.S. Treasury potentially controlling our cryptos. Yeah, we do, Nova. But I mean,
Yeah,
that
but
it
they
that
can't
that's a
control
good point.
XRP. So you're
Yeah.
safe there.
Yeah.
Well, and just to bring up so that while the conversation evolves, we can, tie this in. So the US debt clock, when they first started listing these pop-up windows, it was October 2023, right? 2024. 2024. So, no, it's 2023.
I do
It
think
totally is, because I was over on TikTok. I didn't know any of you guys. So I'm pretty sure it's 2023. Anyways, the evolution is they started doing it it was like once every 2 weeks. And then they started like announcing it so that it was like twice a week at a certain time. We all went to it. We all looked at the windows. It was super interesting. Marox, if you're looking for somebody to decode, Marox is amazing. Maerox. She's amazing. She's been doing it since the very first day. I was doing a few decodes in those first few weeks, but then I gave it up to the ones that were doing better, and I didn't have enough time. Anyways, now, so then they moved it over to X so that they were dropping the same windows on X. I'm pretty sure that happened in 24. And then it's been, and then it was sort of, like last year, it was sort of random, right? Like it would go months where you wouldn't see one, and then it would pop up. Well, I don't know if you guys have been following, but for the past, I would say 2 months, maybe longer, I haven't been, it started registering that, the past week, they were dropping ones every, 5 hours. And it was so crazy. I just saw one, I was like, wait a second, and it was, 5 hours ago, and then another one popped up. I'm like, holy moly. And some of, they're all about the, golden age. It's coming. There's rumors of, July 4th. The Treasury dollar being released on the 250th anniversary, and it, getting rid of the whole U.S. debt clock. So these pop-up images are all about the elimination of the Fed and the creation of the Treasury dollar. So backed by a basket of commodities. So, for those of us who are in, crypto and digital assets, and, somebody like me and some of you who've been in the XRP, on the XRP ledger forever, and I've always believed, like Linda P. Jones said, gosh, it's probably 4 years ago now, where she thought the SEC shouldn't be the one that controls digital assets, that it should be the commodities, whatever. And I've been seeing they just changed their logo last week. So that was really interesting. So there's a lot of things happening. And the debt clock for me, it's so tied to something. You know what I mean? It's just not some random person posting these. They put a lot of effort. And if you go to just the US debt clock, I mean, that's been running the MT money supply and, how much each person has in debt. And then it also has all these lists of if you actually liquidated all the assets, how much each person would have. So this sort of ties into the debt jubilee, which has been sort of the rumor by the highest timeline conspiracy, tinfoil hat people, the blue umbrella holders, this whole notion of shifting and how are, those that see that hyperinflation was coming. And, I lived in Zim in 2006. I saw how hyperinflation happens and in real time, and it's terrifying. And people were like, oh, it's just inflation. Yeah, but when you get to hyperinflation, it is terrifying. You go from buying a loaf of bread for $4 to a loaf of bread being $4,000 in, very quickly. And so, I mean, I've always sort of hoped that there's a plan in the background to, bring the people, not screw it all over. And this conversation is sort of interesting because it ties into all of that. So curious what you guys, know about the U.S. debt clock, how that ties in, what your thoughts are on that, because what you just brought up, Melissa, it's super, super fascinating.
It's interesting. I just want to talk about the hyperinflation, because as Stewie talks about when that happened in Romania, and his parents had a home, and it's oh, I can hear myself. That's weird.
Oh, one of you has to mute.
So it was interesting because people were getting paid more, but they had their home mortgaged. And so when like this hyperinflation happened and they started getting paid more, people were able, like lots of people were able to like pay off their mortgage, right? Because now they're making like a lot more money, but their debt was still like, it was something like, you know, their debt was still like low. Does that make sense? Like now you're earning $8,000 an hour, but your home payment's still $500 a month.
Well, that's how you wipe a debt, right? Is hyperinflation essentially. However, you can't sell your house then.
It was the first time I thought about inflation differently than I had been, you know, like programmed to think about it, right? Because I was like, wait, say that again? Like I didn't think about that. It was interesting. As far as the buybacks and stuff go, I really just think that they are doing everything they can to keep us from crashing. We have been teetering. We have been teetering on this since before COVID. I mean, we are like 6 years past here, and we really should have had corrections. And I'm not saying like, oh, I want it to crash and everyone lose their job and yada yada, because it doesn't affect everybody the same. And when the market crashes, unemployment does go up, and that sucks. But we need these corrections, because if we don't, then home prices just skyrocket and never come down. You know what I mean? Food skyrockets and never comes down. Like as a whole, we have skyrocketed. We need it to come down. It's not going to come down unless we crash. And so it's like Trump is like, oh, the golden age. Now we're facing a war. A war stimulates the economy. Now they're doing buybacks. That's going to give liquidity. They are doing everything they can to keep us from crashing.
Yeah.
I just don't think they're going to be able to hold it off forever. Like, when is it going to happen? Like, let's get it over with. Here's the best part about it crashing. It crashes, price is correct, and then guess what? We start recovery on the way back up.
I think the difference about this time, though, is that there's a new financial system, a new way, right? So you have that as being a different, something new is being introduced, new assets that are, and new rules. And like when you start talking about requiring one-to-one, getting off of the fiat and the perpetual, like we're just going to keep printing and creating debt, like the whole debt-based system, that needs to just go the hell away, right? So like it's crashing. We need it. We're like, well, okay, let's crash it, but let's not go back to what we've got now. When we have a good solution that is kind of starting to gain momentum, the legislation and the brick and mortar, the foundation, all of the bricks have been laid. Now starting to implement these things and start moving money into those things carefully so as not to, rug pull the old system, so to speak, because that's really kind of what it would do, right? And the unfortunate part of that is that it does hurt all the other people, because like a bunch of people that are tied to that money, because everything is kind of built upon each other, like the house of cards scenario. So, it's like crashing a company stock where, their suppliers rely on that company and all of the employees that work at all these different places, and you crash these companies, and then now you have a bigger problem because you got a bunch of people that are unemployed, and it's just kind of like a snowball. So I look at this stuff, and like with all the there's so many riddlers and stuff out there, right? Like you're talking about the debt clock, and you've got people that are speculating. I mean, this obviously is a speculation type of post, but it really struck a chord with me when I read it and made me want to look into it more, because I don't truthfully fully understand these things. And so my elementary mind is going, maybe it could work, like
right.
Maybe it could work. I don't know.
I'll be honest with you. I have to say, I truly believe they're trying to crash the Canadian economy. I think that, in my mind's eye, Lady K, they're not trying to prop it up. They're just trying to pretend that they're not intentionally trying to collapse it. And I don't know about the American economy in that regard. I mean, at least you guys are, in my mind, you guys are a little bit better off, considering you have a leader that actually seems to care a little bit about the economy, where ours just seems to be crashing it. And I felt that for a very long time. Like they're because, like you just said, as soon as they crash it, pensions, like how many people have I met in the past like year who like, oh yeah, I worked for this company for this many years and then they went bankrupt and I lost my pension. I was like, I'm sorry, what did you just say to me? You worked for 40 years for a company and then they went bankrupt and you don't have your, and so that's, the washing out of the debt also is the washing out of responsibility. And so, it's like the light in the dark again.
But the dollar is losing the dominance. And I truly believe that we've been watching a power struggle. So I believe that they didn't want cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin or XRP running because they wanted like their setup, right? I do believe like
dollar.
Right. I do believe Trump is trying to set up a system. And other countries, like I think I just heard like Iran stopped ships going through some sort of gateway unless they traded on the yuan, right? And we have the reserve. I don't think they're trying to crash ours because they have the reserve. I think they're trying to prevent ours from crashing. They're already losing dominance. It's the reserve coin. They are not ready for digital assets or the new system, but digital assets is already ready, right? So like, I think it's been this power struggle. I think other countries are totally ready for it. I think they're tired of the US telling them what to do and being the bully. They are ready for a level playing field. But you just can't go everybody on the new system. Like that's just not going to happen. I mean, you have older generations that just will not understand it. So I think it will run side by side and they'll do everything they can to entice people onto it. And I think by the time our children, our grandparents, it will be all digital assets, you know what I mean? Type thing, right? It's just going to slowly evolve into that. But
what do you think about problem, reaction, solution? Right? Because I think they do that all the time and like little baby steps of it. And so, they already took us through the exercise during COVID to even get people comfortable with shopping online and not using cash money anymore because it's dirty. I mean, there's still people today that are scared to death of even touching a dollar, a fiat dollar, right, in their hand. And that wouldn't have happened without the quote unquote scare event, right? And so like an event like COVID kind of really pushed people to the edge where they actually were willing to do it. And so I'm wondering, like, stuff that's going on today and like you said, crypto's ready or digital assets are ready, or the ones that have been working that like a lot of the people don't know about these things, but they're ready to accept maybe a piece of the pie. So what if they did do this slowly, like you're saying, without crashing it completely, like I think Opti was saying, little by little, and then moving some of this capital over into these digital assets. That makes logical sense to me. So like, because I always say, when you're building a business, you want to be successful, but you don't want to be so successful out the gate that you get so many customers that you're not prepared to handle yet. Or like a website where all of a sudden you go viral and everybody rushes to your website and it crashes because you got that one chance, that first impression, right? You got one chance to show that your system can work. And so if you turn it on too quickly, full blast, and there's a bunch of hiccups and turmoil, that's a bad thing. So I feel like this is going to continue to happen over time, where we're slowly doing this. Where I don't know. I'm not an economist. I don't freaking know. I'm just using my mind of like trying to connect the dots and listening to everybody else. Their speculations, and then, trying to piece it together, because I really don't know. But I think it's awesome to talk about. And I'm proud of us for talking about it. because
Oh,
a lot of the regular people don't talk about this kind of stuff, you know.
Because it is intimidating. Like, you mean, even bonds, like, I don't even understand bonds really. You know what I mean? Like how we sell our bonds and then the other countries buy the bonds and then they can sell them whenever and liquidate the country. Like I'm just like, okay,
Yeah.
like I'm still learning. And I think, to be honest with you, I'm curious what Keta thinks before we close down, but to be honest with you, it's one of the things I really love about you guys and this community and just like even being interested in XRP and XLM and, these digital assets, that it causes me to look at macroeconomics because literally, I'm a 90s student, and the only class I ever failed was macroeconomics. So I find it so ironic that, like, first time I got 49, and second time I got 56, okay? Just because it was like one of those prerequisites to get my degree, and I had to pass this damn course, and I hated it. And here I am discussing macroeconomics on the internet and owning tokens that, like, I'm trying, on XRPL, that I'm trying to do these macroeconomics things with. And the irony is not lost on me. And so I just appreciate that, like, having these conversations in public allow other people to feel like they're not stupid either, that it's just the dialogue that causes more dialogue, that causes better understanding, that causes, and I just appreciate that, the willingness to have these conversations.
Well,
I think
and
it's crazy that you can
we're all
actually
like, oh.
remember. I think it's crazy that you can actually remember your exact grade in a college class. I don't remember a
Because
single
I
one.
failed. I was so devastated. I failed. I was like, what? And my first in my life, Lady K, was, second year university macroeconomics.
So it's traumatic. Okay, that makes sense.
Well,
I
don't
think it's
feel
really
bad,
good that we talk about these kind of things right now, because this is how we got trapped before, where we watched the news and you had somebody on there telling you all about how things were going down, right? We just trusted them, like they know what they're talking about and I don't. And then if you did know somebody who was talking about it, you just nod your head and yep, and you never asked any questions. You just were like, yeah, this stuff is over my head. And I think it is important that even though we don't know the answers, we're trying to seek the answers out, and we're having this conversation. Unifair is laughing at us, but I mean, if we don't start asking these questions and try to figure this stuff out, we're going to just get roped in. We're just going to continue to get roped in. And I truly believe that we are at a point in history where this is our time. The time is now. We are the ones. We are the ones that need to step up and push back. And somebody was saying, they're talking about, I think it was Nova saying, people are talking about the stablecoin bills, and they're overlooking some of the important things that are in there that could like really screw us, right? And that's why, like, I'm not of the some bill is better than no bill thing, right? I think we really need to understand what they're putting in there, because it is going to shape. You got fighters in there right now. You got a Congress under Trump that is being forced to do their jobs. They don't like it. And you got people that are fired up, whether you're on the left or the right, it doesn't really matter. He's getting you to ask questions. He's getting you to research. He's getting you, like, because people hate him or love him. It doesn't really matter. He's got people sparked to action. And there's not really been a time since I've been alive where I've seen this kind of action going on. And so if we don't use it wisely and this stuff gets passed while we were awake to it and we were giving this attention, and then down the line, who knows what else, can happen. Like, your shot is now. Like, our shot is now, in my opinion. Like, I do want to get this going and all that stuff, but like, I want it to be right, or at least close to right. Like, I don't know. That's just my thoughts on it.
I agree with that. I know that Aki was asking, how I feel about this, and I totally understand exactly where she's coming from, because for me, I didn't get into any of this type of financial anything until I got into the cryptocurrency and the digital asset space, and you know, she understands my whole journey when it comes to the nursing thing and getting from one stage to another, and it's all a progression, but at the same time, you do have to have some sense of openness to the actual topic itself. If you don't have that openness, or you're not even, it's not in your purview, it's not something you even want to learn about, then there's going to be definite resistance. They're not going to want to change from anything that was old to something new, and they're going to want things to stay the same. However, the world is not moving that way. The
No.
world is moving into something completely different, and I know that we're coming to a very close end. We're at probably about 3 minutes left. So I'll just say, I've learned to really take the bull by the horns and just try to just sit down and learn as much as I can, just to educate myself. And I think that's the only way you can do this,
Well, and I
whatever
believe
way it is. I'm sorry, go
And I
ahead.
believe they're banking on us not being curious and thinking that it's too over our head. I mean, I think that that's what we've seen for the past 6 years. That's what I've seen, is that they don't want the average person. Like, I think it was in Mr. Man and Roman, the Dipito. I was actually just about to bring it up, but I was like, I think I saw this week, where they're like, we weren't supposed to know, guys. Like, they don't want the average consumer, the 99%, to know. And they have made it very clear. They have spent 100 years developing our entire education system, and we don't get taught about bonds. Apparently, bonds are a big deal. We don't get taught about anything when it comes to finances. And like, they have us for 12 years, and they don't teach us this stuff. So in my opinion, they don't want us to have these conversations. They certainly don't want to put it on YouTube, and they don't want us to have after spaces either. And shout out to your Dipito. Shout out to your Dipito show this week with Roman and Mr. Man. If you haven't watched it, please go watch it. Cannot wait for that conversation. And if you haven't watched it, there's a conversation coming that you should be part of. So send a message to Melissa so that you can be included in that email list. I know we're finishing up, but those are the two things I wanted to say before we left.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Lady K, any final thoughts? Oh, you're on mute. Sorry.
It was a good conversation. I haven't had a conversation like this in a while. We used to talk the whole de-dollarization and debt jubilee and, the new financial system for hours and hours and hours. Yeah, it just happened already. That's
I know.
My thought.
I feel you, man.
I love that. Just happened already.
Help a sister out. Help a sister out. Got any final thoughts, Keda?
I want to thank the 130 people that came in to hang out with us tonight. It is such a pleasure to be able to have these types of conversations with these ladies, because they're so stinking smart and are able to really glean such great information. So thank you for taking that journey with us and allowing us to be able to pontificate with each other and bounce ideas off of each other. It's such a neat thing to be able to do.
Man, I love it. I love it. When I was thinking about it, I'm like, oh, this is kind of pushing the envelope a little bit, but I thought it was fantastic. And I hope everybody joins us in the after space at 10:10. I posted the link in the comments. We'll continue on the conversation. Who knows where it will go? But people were throwing some great comments in there. So, we will see you all next week. Thank you, guys, and I will see you in the after space. Have a good night, guys.
Digital ladies breaking the chain, rising in crypto, we're changing the game. Crypto frontier, we're claiming our space. Not your keys, not your crypto. Know your place. Unscripted, we're bold, we're free. Melissa, Keda, Lady K, and Auntie Dipito. Come ride this wave. Digital wealth, we're here to pay.
Crypto nights, we're lighting the spark. As we ignite now, we're setting the mark.
Safety first, we're keeping it tight. Blockchain power,